indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you all. All right, before we take our first appointment, I do have a piece of business I'd like to do, and just direct. Oh, I'm so excited to get onto this stuff. I just neglected to do that part. Okay. So, introductions of the board. To my left, board member Laurie Swed. To my immediate left, Susan Eyre, our administrative assistant to the board. I'm Glenn Koppelman, your current chair. To my right is Ellie Alessio, our vice chair, and then Peter Bakey, board member, Ellen Falconer, board member. We have in the audience other dignitaries, Tom Rowan, our highway agent, and all things public works, Stacy Dion, budget committee chair, Representative Pamela Brown, Energy Committee Chair and Man About Town, Rick Russman. We have representatives with us from the Rec Commission as well. So thank you all for joining us. Okay, so thank you for the reminder. The piece of business is that, and some of you probably have seen it on social media, that there are some folks out in TV land who did not hear my reading of the resignation letter of our finance director. And of course that generated a lot of chatter, as social media does, and many of the comments were very questioning of the board's motives and why did it not appear on camera and on tape. So to satisfy everybody, I'm going to read it one more time. And Adam, can you confirm that we are actually on and recording? To the best of my knowledge. All right, thank you very much. So this was read at our last meeting. It's dated April 28, 2025, and it's addressed to this board. And it reads, I am formally resigning from my position as Finance and HR Director for the town of Kingston, with my last day of employment being May 13, 2025. This decision comes after 2 years of persistent challenges, including a lack of professional respect, ongoing micromanagement, and inappropriate, unprofessional remarks made by certain board members. My contributions have often been dismissed, my judgment questioned without cause, and my requests for support consistently ignored. Most troubling, comments implying favoritism based on personal relationships, such as being referred to as favored by, quote, my drinking buddies, end quote, are not only false, but entirely unethical and inappropriate to direct toward any employee. While I have done my best to maintain a high standard of work and professionalism, it has become clear that this is no longer an environment in which I can grow or contribute meaningfully. I have accepted another opportunity that better reflects my values and respects my expertise. I will do what is necessary to ensure a responsible transition of duties during my remaining time. Sincerely, Paula Mahoney. So, and as we did the last time, we did accept the resignation with regret, and thank Paula for her service to this community. And she has been working since then in the transition mode and working diligently in that regard. So, hopefully that clears up anything. And there was no nefarious intent to edit tape, delete tape, or any such other thing. It was at a morning meeting of the board, our department head meeting, that occurred, and it's at a time when our video technician can't be with us, and so we were sort of on our own, and sometimes when we go to start the system and get it running, it doesn't work as well as when he is there. So part of the meeting was missed, and did not get broadcast or recorded. And we do apologize for that, but this was an important item, and I wanted to make sure that we put that to bed, and hopefully that does put it to bed.
Well, and I just wanted to add that under normal circumstances, none of it might have happened, but I happen to be aware that our video person was on vacation and was available, and so Paula and Susan called him to get as much as we can recorded and taped or shown or whatever. So they just didn't know that he was available to call. I happen to know.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. We have one appointment scheduled, and it's the Recreation Commission, and it's regarding the new multi-use court. So is one of you the representative for the group, or are you all going to join us? Okay, there are two microphones there. If you would come up to those two seats, please. And once you get yourself seated, put a microphone in front of you, push the button until it turns green, and please leave it on the table. Don't hold it, but bring it close enough to you so that it captures your voice. And I'll then ask you to please introduce yourselves.
Okay, my name is Craig Barlow. I'm one of the members of the Rec Commission.
Thank you.
Scott Harlow, with an H, on the Rec Committee also.
Great, thank you. The floor is yours.
All right, what happened was I listened to the video of the last meeting and noticed there were a lot of questions that the board had. So I put together some responses that might, and these I've actually sent to Abby as well, and she looked them over and said, yep, those are all in line with what she wants as well. So it's not just my opinion, but she's comfortable with this, this information coming out. The first one was, I want to
Can I just
thank...
interrupt for one moment?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Has the rec in some way spoken with Tom about all of this yet?
Yes, Abby has talked to Tom on Friday about a good part of what this is here, because she had all this before Friday as well, so I'm sure they've had that conversation.
So once you've gone through and done the presentation, if Tom has anything else to add, we'll certainly ask him to come
absolutely. Up. Yep, sounds good. Well, the first thing I do want to mention is I want to thank Tom sincerely for the fact that the DPW or Public Works is doing so much to help us with this. The idea of painting that whole area is a major, major task. It is something that even as volunteers, we were a little bit almost overwhelmed. Lining, we would not have a problem with, but that was huge, and we certainly appreciate it. And by the way, it's always been that way. We had some issues with the parking lot. We wanted some stone dust down, and they took care of that right away as well. So we appreciate the fact we have such great support there. So the first one was the asphalt. One thing I did want to mention, I know you were going to paint it, and we've ordered enough paint to do it. It's important, because the asphalt is new, to consider doing 2 coats in about 24 hours between. Oh, you probably plan to anyway. Just thought I'd bring that up just to be sure. The drawings that you see on this, I think you've all seen the drawings for.
We have.
Yeah. Those are colored only for clarity. They're not colored for that's the way it's going to be. Everything will be all in blue, and the only white will be the borders for the pickleball, the borders for the shuffleboard, and the borders for hopscotch and those kinds of things. Everything will either be white or blue. And we, with volunteers, and I've got about 12 volunteers that want to help out, we have templates so that everything's going to be done professionally. They'll look perfect when they're done. It'll look, just as good as you went to a resort and saw this. It'll really be done very well. So, and we'll take our time to do it the right way. They won't be sprayed. They'll actually be hand painted inside the stencils, because that will last a whole lot longer. So I just want to mention that's where that's going. And the layout design, I do want to thank Scott. Scott came up with a design. We both had designs. His was much better, by the way, much more professional. And he also had things separated in the right way. In other words, we had pickleball here, then shuffleboard, and all the kids over on the far end. So everything's segregated so that all three could, everything could happen all at the same time, and it would be a relatively safe environment, as any sports event would be. So it's good that the way it's laid out is really going to work out well for that. The only other thing I wanted to mention was At the last meeting, there was some discussion about some money that's left over for the, from the warrant article, I think about $2,500. The one thing we didn't do last year was the ice skating rink because the asphalt was too fresh. We didn't want to take a chance. But we would like to do that, but that cost would be, certainly it would take a good portion of that money to be able to do a nice ice skating rink for the town and get enough materials and equipment so that we can do this on a yearly basis. So that's one of the reasons I want to mention, if that money could be allotted for that. Certainly if the Department of Public Works wanted to purchase whatever was necessary, that's fine. And if they, whatever way they want to be involved, we're always happy to have that, because typically when they're involved, things go much smoother, and I'm sure it would go well. So that's the only other item that we thought would be worthwhile to use that money for the ice skating rink, because that's the one item on the warrant article that we had not been able to fulfill until this coming winter.
And were you thinking of real ice as opposed to artificial ice?
No, we're regular ice.
Regular ice?
Yeah, I did look into the artificial. It's about $130,000 to do a decent size, and they say that it's very difficult to skate on because it doesn't have the smoothness of regular ice. The big advantage here over the lakes are whenever this fails, you're in this much water. So it's going to be a whole lot safer for people to use it. We don't know how long the seasons are going to be. It a lot depends on the weather and those kinds of things. So, you know, that's a pretty big task, but I think with help and volunteers, we should be able to pull that off as well.
I'm going to open it up for discussion, but I had one question. I'm going to use my prerogative. Thank you.
I would defer anyway, so go right ahead.
There's a dividing line between the pickleball area and the other uses.
Yeah.
What is that boundary?
That was really just part of a drawing. That line probably won't exist. There's no reason for it.
It's just a paint line on there, just to differentiate between this and that. No,
Even if you've got activity happening on both sides, there's no need to provide some kind of barrier to keep one from interfering with the other?
I don't think so at this point. I mean, if we find later that it is, you could just put a small net going across or something.
Yeah, sure.
So that could be something we'll consider. A lot of it will be depends on, as we start using it, how well does it work and where are the issues.
the reason I set it up so that pickleball was on one end and then shuffleboard and then the other is because when they're playing pickleball, obviously the ball bounces around. If you have kids or people down on the ground, they're more likely to get hit. Shuffleboard is a standing up event, so people are less likely to get hurt there or less likely to be in the way there. So really don't need a barrier. I mean, the ball's gonna move around, but it's not gonna affect anybody.
Right, and by the time it does, it's just rolling. It's not like it's flying.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Now I'll open it up. Ellen?
Yeah, and forgive me for not knowing this, but was the ice skating rink in the warrant article?
Yes, it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was worded in there as part of it. We talked about it at meetings, a couple different possible ways of doing it. On top of the hot top, which obviously the sides will spread, so then you'd have to have the kind that's got the brackets underneath to do it if we were to do that, or we could do one on the grass with boards, and I drew up a design on doing that, and I think that would be easier, but it's still, whatever we buy, whatever we do, we're gonna have to replace the store. We're gonna have to replace the store, everything. Because it's gonna be used year after year after year.
And that place has not been identified yet?
Well, we thought the one place might be the shack that's there right next to the multiplay area. That probably would easily handle all the wood stacked up. So that may be where it ends up.
Just a quick question on your, what size of ice rink were you thinking? Do you have any idea?
The one I drew up was like a 50 by 80.
50
so it's
by
not
80.
as big as the hot top that's there. And that would be on the grass beside it. But it's still a good enough area that you can have a bunch of people out there playing.
And you think you could put in ice for $2,500?
We could do a 50 by 80. I looked it up and figured it all out with the boards and everything. We could buy the materials, me off the street without a discount, through looking it up at Lowe's, it'd be around $1,100 for all the materials. And then just man hours to put it together and fire department come fill it.
And there'll be hardware, I'm sure, to put it together, those kinds of
That's all.
things as well.
And that is doing boards with rebar driven down into the ground so they don't spread and they don't move.
I don't mean to be a spoil sport, but I'm really scared of having a hockey center there for liability issues, and we definitely would have to check that out with our insurance company. It makes me nervous. Not that I'm opposed to it, but I think as a member of the board, I feel obliged to bring that up, that it could be a real liability issue for the town.
And it may be that it'll only be for free skating, and it's not geared for hockey. People do play hockey on the lakes a lot anyway.
They do, but
They'll
that's,
find their place, but it could actually be specified that it's for free skating only.
We did discuss no organized hockey on there because of, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have people checking each other, I mean, it's just what the game is. So we did actually discuss that in the beginning when Paul was still on the committee. And he did speak to someone, and I'm not sure who checked with somebody about the insurance and said just regular free skating would be fine. But times change, so by all means, that should be still looked into.
we would still check on it anyways.
Yeah. But we weren't looking for organized, and I know they've got hockey groups in here, we weren't looking to have something like that set up. And I don't even know what size they would need.
It's about a quarter the size of a hockey area, so.
If I had my druthers, I'd rather see hockey than football, because we have such a small school, so
Yep.
I'd rather see you be able to expand that program and take the resources from the other, but that's for story for another day.
Peter?
I asked about the size, just as you know, if you've done any woodworking before, when you put them together, you take them apart, put them together, take them apart, pretty soon ends start splitting, they start breaking apart, longevity, the weight of the materials, what are you gonna use, pressure treated? Just a thought, but I know you can buy a 26 by 53 portable rink that's got soft sides that rolls up for about $3,700.
Yep.
And then I'm just talking about longevity. I understand you're looking to build something 80 feet long. Again, how many people are gonna have out there? It's just, I'm looking at something that's gonna last and maybe a little easy to take care of.
Oh, yes, especially as far as putting up and taking.
It's actually meant for portable rinks. So you set them up and you fill it full of water and then
I
you
think
take it down and roll it up.
It sounds like it's worth looking into several different.
Just an idea, there are different ideas and thoughts, you know, I know it's a little bit more money, but it may last a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
And be, but like I said, a 26 by 53 would be like $3,700 for the complete kit. Just an idea.
I looked up, Easy Rinks is one of the companies that has the kits. And it's all plastic panels, and they've got, either you can lag them into the ground, or you can get the brackets with the straps that go underneath. And those are great. It's just the money.
Correct.
It's the money. And we were trying to obviously come in at around, a budget that was doable. We even talked about possibly the first year doing it to see if we could rent one, to see if people were even gonna like it.
Right.
To see if it was gonna be feasible to spend any amount of money at all. Because if we buy the equipment, then we need to have a place to store it that's secured, where it's not gonna get damaged, not gonna get stolen, critters aren't gonna chew on it. So we need to have some type of building to put it in where it's not gonna be in everybody's way. If we try and, for example, grab a corner of one of the buildings, the DPW, it's gonna be in their way. If we do it at where they're doing the recycling down there, those buildings probably aren't set up to be able to do anything like that, but it's still gonna be in the way. So if we invest X number of dollars into equipment and we don't have a place to put it, it's just money going in the rubbish.
Correct.
So that was part of the reason in the beginning too, we were talking about feasibility about renting for the first year. And then if the people hated it and it didn't work, then we got nothing to worry about.
And the other option too is when you rent, if you do decide to take it, a good portion of that would be going toward the purchase of it as well. And we'd know what that is ahead of time, so that we still stay within the budget that's reasonable.
Lori, did you have anything?
I don't.
As the liaison to the
Yeah,
rec
I
committee?
was in communication with Abby and Scott and Tom over the last several days about this, and they met on Friday to talk about it. And, you know, there's some things I think they still have to work out, but I think most of the questions that we had talked about at the last meeting were the responsibilities of what highway was gonna do as compared to the commission, and I think we have that sorted out, where they're painting it blue, and whatever the final design is of the court is the responsibility of the commission.
Right.
And I think, so, you know, all of these other, you know, once we come up with an ice skating solution, if we have one, we know that we have $2,500 left from the warrant article. So I think all of the issues were addressed.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
No, I'm good.
We probably ought to memorialize this in a motion to, how do we want to phrase it? To
Endorse the rec commission going forward with, endorse the rec commission going forward with
the design that they propose.
the ice hockey, skating area, the skating area.
Well, so I
Well,
have a
it's-
question about that.
It's really the use and design of the multi-use surface.
So if changes need to be made to that design, is it their, being the commission's purview to approve that, or do we need to approve it? Because if they've come up with it's them. So, because, you know, if they determine, there's been discussions that for the shuffleboard, it might require a different kind of paint, and I mean, I personally don't think we need to get into those details, and that the commission understands the needs, and if the layout, if they can figure out the layout, then.
But I think I'm okay with it as long as they go through Tom Rowan.
Well, sure. I mean, but even then, he doesn't have anything to do with the layout of the court.
No, but
We're just agreeing that the
They-
that the money that was appropriated for them to paint the surface.
Yeah.
We agree that that should be done.
Yes.
What they do with the layout and stuff. Tom doesn't care, we don't care.
I agree. I want to make sure, because
correct.
when we brought the design last week, there seemed to be just some.
It was only decisive of who was gonna do the work.
Yeah.
Not,
And-
we don't
and we
really.
sorted that
Yeah,
out.
we don't mind who's
Right,
gonna
and
do
it was
the,
the different colors and who,
Good.
who, what, when.
Yep, so that's sorted out. If there's minute changes, that's up to the commission, that's what they do, and then we don't need to be involved.
I'm not coming down to look at the lines.
Unless during the process and at any point, the commission would like to discuss it with the board and get input or comments, that's fine. But as far as a requirement to do that, I don't think so.
I think the only reason why anyone has to come to us is if there seems to be a discrepancy between them and Tom.
Right.
And that's it. Other than that, I don't see the need.
Agreed.
So are you good with that? I mean, it would be nice to do it in a motion, but if you're comfortable with the discussion and the minutes reflecting that, then. And do you folks have any questions about that?
No,
I think it's pretty clear.
very clear.
Okay. All right, good. So before you leave, Scott, we have something for you.
Yep,
We have an appointment form.
yep,
It appears as though you are requesting reappointment
yep,
to the Recreation Commission.
yep.
So this is for Scott Harlow, Kingston, New Hampshire, to be appointed to the position of Recreation Commission member for a term of 3 years to expire on March 31, 2028. And I mean, I'm happy to see this, and we're thankful for all the work that you do on the commission, and glad that you're willing to keep your hat in the ring.
Yep. Thank
So
you.
I take a motion to approve this appointment.
So moved.
Motion by Ellie, second by Ellen. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? So that's unanimous. We will go ahead and sign it and get it down to the town clerk, and at some point you'll need to get sworn in. So,
Thank you.
and again, thanks to our volunteers. Thank you.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Related to this?
Related to the rec commission,
Okay.
Patricia Gavin. I've been on the rec committee for over a decade, but my commission expired ages ago. I'm going to be probably doing the senior people. I'm wondering if I need to have that,
You should, yeah.
okay.
All you need to do is send an email to Susan
All right, I'll do that tomorrow.
and just request appointment. And we'll get an appointment form drawn up, and we'll do the same thing we just did for Scott.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right, public comment number 1.
That's a mistake, I won't do that.
Pam Brown, 23 Sunshine Drive, Kingston. Good evening, select board members. So I've been following the bill that you were interested in, SB 297 on risk pooled organizations. And the good news is there is a, there's a meeting about this on Wednesday.
Yes.
But it's just a work session, so
Right.
that means they're trying to figure out what this is about.
Right.
They may actually do an executive session after the work session, but I doubt it. But I'll try to go to this on Wednesday. I've also spent several hours watching some of the hearings on the bill, and it looks like it's gonna be amended heavily, so I don't think we need to worry too much. My understanding is that there are 4 organizations that pool risks for towns and municipalities. It's Primex, Health Trust, School Care, and NHIT. NHIT has just declared they're going to close shop, so they're having trouble. Health Trust self-reported in 2023 that they're having solvency problems. I know it's been characterized as a risk transferring or risk shifting operation where they're going to assess towns if they don't have money to cover claims. But it's actually, from what I've seen, and I watched several hours of testimony from the actuaries, I've got like 10 pages of notes here. I need to get a life. Apparently, they've just been improperly estimating the rates and premiums needed to cover the claims. So they're coming up with these huge amounts of money owed for claims, but they haven't been able to price it properly. And that's
You're talking
what's-
about Health Trust?
Health Trust
Okay.
is the problem. The
Okay.
good news is Primex is fine and School Care is fine. So the actuary actually testified. He said, at first I thought it was just they were making mistakes on pricing the premiums for the towns, but the actuary said that for NHIT, they looked at the bills several months ago, they looked at their documentation, they were not even calculating actuarially recommended contributions. And on the rare occasions they did look at their contributions, they were collecting significantly less than actuarially recommended contributions. And then it was pretty explosive. He actually said they were doing this openly. This was stated in the meeting minutes. To compete for market share, they deliberately charged much less than actuarially recommended to keep their market share, and that led them to insolvency. So there's a concern that I think what's going on is we have the directors of these risk pooled organizations, they're just not experts. They've got like a social studies teacher and some HR people from towns on here. So I don't want to impugn, their motives or anything, but private insurance companies, no matter how badly we malign the private sector, they have profit and loss that rules them. So they're pretty careful about making sure the rates match their liabilities. And I just think these organizations just are not being careful with setting the rates correctly. That is my impression. So anyway, but I thought the minutes were pretty amazing. You can't just decide, well, let's lower our prices to compete, because you're gonna go out of business if you're not covering your costs. That doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, that's all I've got for you tonight, but I'll keep you posted.
So Okay, thank you, Pam. So before you leave, though, maybe this will be a time to move this item up on the agenda.
I knew you had the letter on there. So.
I did draft a letter, and I was going to read it, and I can read it now for the public and for the board, and the board can decide then if it wants to proceed and send it.
Okay.
And I did go on to the legislative website, and I did realize that there is a committee meeting, it's a subcommittee actually, on Wednesday. So I didn't know how important it was, but I thought the sooner we get our voice into the mix, I mean, it doesn't mean that we can't write additional letters or future letters, as this gets further along in the process. So with the board's permission, I'll go ahead and read this now and move this up on the agenda. So it's dated today, and it's addressed to the Honorable John Hunt, who I believe is the chairman of the House Commerce and Consumer Affairs Committee, which is where this is going to be heard on or dealt with a workshop on Wednesday. It's regarding SB 297, Dear Chairman Hunt and committee members. Could somebody please
Tell them to move
ask them to take the conversation elsewhere?
Downstairs.
I don't want to close the door because that implies that we're in non-public, and that's not the case. No. Thank you, Stacy. Okay. On behalf of the Kingston, New Hampshire Select Board, I am writing to strongly oppose adoption of SB 297 relative to pooled risk management programs. As the bill is currently written, parentheses with amendments, insurance risk pool programs such as Health Trust would be forced to transfer policy-covered risks to participating members, i.e. New Hampshire municipalities, in the form of, of assessments. Further, all members would have to contribute financially to make up any deficit of the risk pool program based on annual contributions and a complicated formula allowing the program to collect additional member contributions above the annual premiums. Moving risk pool supervision rules and regulations from the Secretary of State to the New Hampshire Department of Insurance essentially assures the risk pools would become designated insurance companies and thus 100% risk bearers, with members being obligated to pay policy premiums. Under rising costs and extreme budgetary constraints, New Hampshire municipalities cannot bear the cost of open market insurance should Health Trust cease to function as a risk pool program. Healthcare is currently Kingston's single most expensive budget item. It would be extremely difficult for us, and parentheses, and I suspect many other municipalities, close parentheses, to absorb any additional assessment, to absorb an additional assessment on top of our annual contributions. We strongly and respectfully urge the committee to consider the impact on the communities you represent and recommend that SB 297 not move forward to adoption. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this pending legislation, and it's signed by me as the chair of the board. Oh, Ellen?
The budget committee also voted to send in a letter.
They did, and Stacy is here. And Stacy, why don't you come up to the table also? Stacy reached out to me today asking me if I thought that we should do two letters or if we should join together on one, and I said, well, we can discuss that tonight. So.
Yep. So I saw this at the meeting last week, and I reached out to Lori to ask, because we had a budget committee meeting last week, and I thought the way that it was reading and came across that it would be a significant budget issue in this year, because it would be implemented for this year, which would impact us starting in July without having the ability to budget for it. So that was very concerning. So I wanted budget committee to understand that, and then when we discussed it, we figured it would be great to budget committee and for the select board to collaborate on something to the town, to the state, to say we're very concerned about this. This is kind of catching us mid-year where we don't get to reappropriate anything and we don't get to add to our budget, and we don't know what the increase is going to be. And we would be caught off guard.
So I don't object to doing a joint letter, but I'm wondering if there are some, from a budget committee point of view, if there are some items that you really want to stress in addition to what's here that might be worth a second letter, and I don't think that having two letters is a bad thing.
I don't either. I think two letters are better than one.
Yeah.
Okay. Be more serious.
Yeah.
Just from that standpoint, I have no objection otherwise to,
Yep.
you know.
I think it's important. I think, we need to let them know that, we are paying attention to this, and this is gonna impact, this is gonna impact us significantly.
And those of us that are not on a fiscal year, but on a calendar year, get really whacked, because there's no way we have another year to go and then some before we have any additional revenue.
And I think that's, we would be potentially, if Health Trust would pull out of the state, we would be looking for a new insurer, and we don't know where that would end up, and we know, and I think in our history with the health insurance, we've had significant cost over the last 2 years and it's increased, causing us to have a huge increase in the budget, not this past year, but the year before. I think it was almost a $700,000 increase in that insurance area for our budget. So that's a lot of money for the town of Kingston for that increase. And we could actually see that. We could see an increase after all the work that we did to try to reduce our cost for this year with insurance be undone, and we could see our costs go back up.
For sure.
So, does the board, well, Pam, I'll ask you, do you see any issues with that letter?
No, but I'm just concerned about getting an assessment mid-year. That would be completely
Oh,
unacceptable.
of course. Well, and I think that's something that can be stressed in the letter from the budget committee.
Yeah.
It's really
Definitely.
appropriate for
Yep.
what, for your focus.
Yeah, because we could say we are on a calendar year budget being assessed mid-year.
Yep.
Where would we get the funding from? And that would be,
Horrendous.
it would be, and we. So,
It is.
yeah, so if I can just get a copy and then I'll draft something from budget committee, I think that makes sense. I think the more,
Oh, yeah,
Can I keep this?
yeah, you can keep it, yeah, for sure. Pam, did you have any, so you're good with the letter, you think it's appropriate?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think they all understand there's a major problem here.
Okay. Thank you for doing that research and watching those hours of
I have
testimony.
no life, so I
appreciate,
enjoy learning a lot of.
I appreciate
Full
it.
risk.
Gets me up and moving.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So
Pam.
then my question is, just
Thank
because
you,
I want to
Pam.
make sure, did you have legal review this, or is, okay?
No, you don't
I
have to have
I'm just.
We did
just
not.
making sure.
We did not.
Okay, I just didn't know if we could just,
We do sneeze without going to legal.
nope. Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know about that.
I was just making sure I could send it without any
Right.
requirements of having somebody review it, but I'll use this as the basis and
Thank you.
send that out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will be happy to take a motion for me to sign this letter as it was read.
Second.
Motion by Ellen, second by Ellie. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That's unanimous. So we will sign this and get it off. Yeah, because the meeting is on Wednesday. Is it in the morning? Morning? Yeah.
Well, email it and send a hard copy.
We
to
can,
it.
we can email it, and I'm sure that Mr. Hunt has an email. Susan, I'll leave this in the,
There's an online portal where you can put through comments, but I would send it directly to his email.
yes, okay.
And I believe it's due midnight before they vote on it, so the sooner the better.
Okay.
Thanks again, Pam.
Thank you. Okay. Liaison reports. Lori? Nothing?
I have, museum meeting is tomorrow. Solid waste and recycling is Thursday, where we're going to talk about the RFQ and have recommendations for the following meeting.
And that's on our meeting schedule agenda for the 12th.
Yep. So other than that, I don't have any reports.
Okay, thank you. I had two things, and I can only remember one of them as I was writing this down, so you never know. It might come to me or it might not.
It will, at some point.
Eventually, maybe tonight. The Watershed Management Plan Committee is moving forward. I think I reported to you that they're working on getting a grant application into New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to help with implementing some stormwater management at Greenwood Pond by the town beach. They did check. I asked them to please check with DES, given the funding situation with grant funding from state and federal sources these days. They couldn't provide a definite answer, but they encouraged him to go ahead and submit the application, and the indication was that at this point the funds are there. So they're going to go ahead and submit the application. And it's a pre-application at this stage, so who knows what will happen when the final application goes through. I don't remember what the other thing was, but so Ellie, I'll let you go.
Actually, I don't have anything. Planning board is tomorrow night, so I'll have something for next week.
Okay. Peter?
Just two things real quick. Just two things real quick. First of all, Ellen and I spoke to Marissa today, possibly about a transfer, but we're going to talk about that a little later. Besides that, everything's going good in her department. Tom, I spoke with him about the electrical bids on the planes. He was going to have some information back to us tonight, the 12th. He was able to locate somebody that's willing to go over those bids quite thoroughly for him and give him some good direction. Unfortunately, wasn't available till tomorrow.
Okay.
So we got plenty of time because we're waiting on the wells and everything, and we want to make sure it's done right. It's a pretty big project, so I believe he's going to be dealing with him tomorrow on those bids.
Okay.
Besides that, that's it.
All right, thank you. Ellen? Later?
I'm sorry, let me turn it on. There'll be some non-public things at the end of the meeting, but I had a meeting with one of the trustees of the trust funds with Paula, and then based on that, went to talk to Graham today. And we looked up some information. Susan was able to get Graham, who then sent it to me, the minutes where the board had made a motion about this fund. And I looked up the original wording of the fund and talked to John, and based on the original wording, which included a couple of specific phrases about, it wasn't equipment, it was equipage or something. But anyway, so I spoke with John, and what looked like it might become an issue is now a non-issue. They agreed that based on the wording of the warrant article, the motion that was made by the selectmen in December at some point about using this to go forward with some of the things that hadn't been done, he agrees that this will be paid. So that worked out. So the only thing they did ask is if, because they are asking us to do this now, and I apologize because all I have is a copy I've written on, if we can just initial it, because that's what they've asked us to now do, and it's a technicality thing. Technically, you don't have to do it because of what had happened.
Makes them happy.
We're trying to work with the trustees to have confirmation of everything, so they just like us to, and this is fine. They said just to initial this, and this is not a problem. Well, we could do a motion that we're agreeing that we've already decided that these are pertinent for the 28 things on this list. But I think it's easier just to sign this.
Let's make an initial on it and call it a day.
Okay, good.
So you'll pass that around for us? Okay, thank you. Anything else, Ellen? For liaison?
Yes.
Okay. And I know we'll get into some other stuff later in non-public. Okay. I still don't remember what the second thing was, but you never know. Before the end of the evening, it might happen. Okay, so under board business, the attorney has reviewed the contract for Crederi Associates for our supplemental site investigation on the plains regarding the PFAS. And so that is in here for us to sign. I just have to find it. Too much stuff. Of course, it's going to be the last thing, right? There it is. Not the last. Okay. So this is the site investigation fieldwork contract, includes all edits suggested by town council. Does anybody want to see this before we do the motion and vote to authorize the signing of it?
This was, how was this being paid for? I can't remember.
It's
This was-
in our budget.
It's budgeted.
It's budgeted,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
Is there anything significant the attorney?
Well, I can't tell because this is the final, can't tell because this is the final copy, so I don't know if anything was changed.
There were some changes, but they were, some of it was just changing state of Maine to state of New Hampshire, things like that. They went through and just made sure it was pertinent for our state.
And just FYI, it has been signed by the Vice President of Crederi, a gentleman by the name of Rip Patton. If you would wish me to sign it, please make a motion to do so.
So moved.
Thank you, Ellie.
Second.
Motion by Ellie, second by Laurie. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So that's unanimous. I will sign it. Sure, yeah, that would be great, Susan. Okay, the next item is, I'm in the wrong spot already. Tax map maintenance annual contract. It has been reviewed and approved by Finance and the Select Board's administrative assistant, and the money is in the budget for this. This is a routine item that we need to do. Do we do this? We do this annually, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for keeping our tax maps updated.
Yep.
And this is it's a contract with, I should mention who it is.
Cartographic Associates.
There it is, CAI, Cartographic Associates, Inc., in Littleton, New Hampshire. And they've been our vendor now for a while, is that true?
Several years.
Several years. Okay. Any questions on this? And if not, I take there are two places to sign, so, and it's for all of us, so I'll do this and pass it around. If I can have a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by Ellie, second by Laurie. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So that's unanimous. All right. Sorry. Tom, would you please come up to the table? Oh, I didn't do the second one, sorry. I'll get it on the return trip. So the next item on our agenda is discussion of the railings for the front stairs. And I know, Tom, you've had some conversation with the contractors? Oh, okay. Well, have a seat and put the mic on.
Okay,
And that doesn't look like that.
Okay,
So if-
yep.
If anyone hadn't seen it.
yep,
Yeah, so that was last week, they were installed, not installed, but brought to the site. And the picture I just sent around I don't know if, did everyone see them? Yeah, I just wanted to make everyone aware of what it looked like. That's why we stopped. And the way I look at it, we had two options, basically. There was a lot of talk, hey, let's shorten them, let's bend them, let's do this, that, and the other thing. In my opinion, that is a legitimate change order. If we've agreed to this, and now I want you to do this. So that came through about $5,000 something. And if that's what the decision is, that's fine. In my opinion, what they brought wasn't even close to what that is a shop drawing. It's not very detailed, but it's detailed enough where that lamb's ear, in my opinion, should have been about 6 inches from center of post.
Much closer to the step.
And a little higher.
And a little higher.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, as I see it, somebody missed something, it happens. And I think if the board approves that look, then I don't believe it's any cost to the town, because it was an error on their part. If we decide, hey, you know what, geez, I don't like that, I want it shorter, that's my opinion. And I think through that drawing is enough evidence that those railings didn't quite match.
It didn't match the drawing quite.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's
there's a lot of talk about ADA and sticking out, but the top is ADA compliant, comes out 12 inches from face of step. The bottom doesn't have to.
Right.
And in that picture, that's what they brought, so. So it's a board decision, I guess, if we.
So what's in our packet here is the change order.
Right.
And then on the second page, they're saying remove 10 inches from the lamb's tongue from this to this, and in their opinion, the from met the shop drawings, and that because we want it to not be that, it's a change order, and it's whatever the cost is.
And see, here's, I guess this is, and this is again an opinion. It goes like that.
Yeah.
So,
Here are these back if you need to reference.
so if you're referencing that, I just feel like if we're okay with it at the bottom of the step, at the step, roughly, that is not a change order. If we want to alter height, then.
So, okay, I guess, I don't know, maybe somebody needs to explain to me how they think that is this.
Right.
Because it's not, and so anything is not a mistake on our part,
Correct.
And that's what Tom's saying.
That's correct.
but that's not what they're saying.
They don't want to pay for it.
That's too bad.
That's what they're
I
saying.
agree with you.
They're saying that we can just do this little bit, and it's not a change order, and we'll do it, but anything else, you have to pay.
And why I didn't approach Friday, this issue with the contractors, is because I want to make sure that the board is okay with the original drawing.
Right.
If it is, that's a fight we'll have.
I don't even know.
No problem.
I don't even know what the original drawing is. What did we
Well,
approve?
Hang on, yeah, hang on.
It's, so, where's that shop drawing?
It's right there.
So what happened is, Lori, is Susan has a copy of what we looked at and what we approved. Gave it to SMP, who drew that shop, okay? Close, but they don't match. Right? So that's right there was sent to the manufacturer.
Okay.
What the manufacturer made was nowhere near what that
Is
shop.
this?
Right.
Correct. I mean, it's nowhere near with that drawing.
Which
If
doesn't
you look at
match
the
the
front steps, it shows you those lamb's ears are above the front stair. If you look at the
Right.
front.
Yeah.
And not out in the ground. I mean, what Tom's saying is if we agree with that rendition that they sent to the manufacturer, it's not gonna cost us a dime.
Right.
If we're gonna wanna start changing and bending stuff,
Well, it'll be a fight probably
It's
because,
gonna be a
It'll
fight.
But in my opinion, you can win,
but
win that battle.
but it's a valid argument because if we approved a certain drawing, then what we get should be matching that
What
drawing.
we approved.
But, and that is
Then that doesn't.
Not it.
the out for that company or any company that's on its toes. They said, oh, well, yeah, you wanted it shorter, you wanted it this, you want us to, that's where the change order will come in. So I've yet to really dive into it until the board says, you know what, because you get the feel of that now that you've looked at it, and if you're happy with where it should be, we move on.
I think that the emails that had gone back and forth, or texts or whatever they were, was due to the fact that this company sent us stuff and said, I'm on, am I leaning back to 5 hours?
Probably.
That the company sent information to us that said, well, we could do this and it's still an ADA, or we could do that and it's still an ADA, and all this an ADA, and we're like, oh, well, that works, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, but didn't add, but it's gonna cost $6,000.
Well,
Because they were trying to, I think, to obfuscate a little bit that they had made the error initially.
I think so. No one, they weren't gonna come out and say, hey, well, blew that one. Especially when you get a group together and start saying, well, geez, it would look better if it was shorter, if it was longer, if it was over here, if it was over there. Then they just stood back and went,
And the
okay,
other
yep,
ones-
we'll do what you want.
Because they put that forward like, oh, how about, do you like this design?
Yes,
Do you
they
like
did.
that one? And it's like, oh, well, that looks nice, not that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, but if you do that, it's gonna
But-
cost you.
but-
But they
and-
never
and-
put out the original design, so I think.
And that's all I wanted tonight is for you, and again, it's those railings are gonna be there a long time, so whatever
We hope.
makes you, whatever's the best. And even if it is a $5,000 change to make it more appealing in a better design, that's fine with me. But I just would like to lay the option. It's gonna cost you to change it. If they're gonna have to change it regardless. But if they change it to the original design, we can fight that. battle.
Where, if they change it to this, which is what we approved, right? It should be no cost, because this is what we approved,
Right.
and it's not what they delivered.
Right.
And we're still okay with what we originally approved.
Yes.
I personally am okay with what we approved as long as we get what we approved.
Right.
I cannot justify an additional $5,000 on those railings.
No.
I can't.
But
It's not.
To make additional changes beyond getting it back to what the plan
I would
is.
also bring up the issue to get the copy from Susan that I actually had in my hand, that we, the board, agreed upon. That's what we wanted. How that got transposed into that drawing for the manufacturer
Is a mystery.
is a mystery, because they almost don't match. That's why I'm saying we voted on a certain drawing, and that drawing right there to the manufacturer is not it.
This is not it.
Correct.
So
It's
we-
close.
Right, so where is that, right, so I remember that paper, so where's that paper that you're
She had a
talking about?
copy of it, because she gave it to me
I
downstairs.
got it. There was 3 documents that I brought forward when they were about to put them in.
You're talking about the conceptual drawing?
I'm talking about the one that we voted on.
Okay.
So we had a piece of paper that the board voted on, approved.
Yeah.
This somehow got transposed into that,
Into this,
which is not the same. And then that got transposed into that, which is it's not the same.
but what we voted on is close
It's
to
close.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a drawing, there was also a picture of a library that has the same
Yep.
railings.
Correct.
So I've got 3 documents, and I
Leominster
can,
or Lebanon.
That'll be
Yeah,
handy
yeah.
information.
Live in Hampshire.
what's that?
That'll be handy.
Yeah, I
Tom
thought everybody
will
already
need
had that, because we,
You'll need that as you're negotiating.
Sure.
no, all
I can't even
right, I'll get
believe
that.
that anyone would come and start to put that in, thinking that that was the
Correct.
right thing to do. But anyway, that's not.
Well, thank goodness it got caught before it was cemented in.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes.
All right,
So,
what are we doing with this?
so
So you
So
want,
I've expressed my opinion. We need the rest of the board.
No, I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
We're all in agreement to do the one we originally approved. Yep,
For the original plan.
yep.
Yes.
Lori, you're
Don't
good?
want to spend any more
Ellen?
money.
Okay,
Yep,
with no additional expense.
That's right.
No additional, great.
for us.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, correct,
because there is an additional expense.
Not my problem.
Well, that's what
So,
we do.
okay, so thanks, Tom. Keep us posted on how it goes, and Susan, you'll be getting Tom
yeah,
the stuff, the documents.
I thought, yeah. I had those out
One
while
other
they
thing,
were looking.
Glenn, Tom and I did speak about this today. When they think they got it right, before they send that to paint, he should relay to them to bring it down
Yeah.
and try it before they repaint the whole thing again.
Absolutely.
Because once they start making them,
Yep.
again,
Yeah.
they should come down and check it out before they put their money into finishing them.
Yes, okay. All right, I don't see any new business under the, does anyone have any new business to bring up? All right, first item under board business, in the orange folder, we have the Saddle Up Special Events. Susan, I thought you were gonna
Sorry,
get this ready for me.
right there.
Okay. This was discussed at the last meeting. There was a 3 in favor, 2 against vote, so it passed. And this is for a special event permit for motorcycle fundraising events to be held on May 20 and July 15th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. The event location is 92 Route 125, and the permit is here. It's for acoustic music only, per the permit. It's been signed off on by the police chief and fire chief, and so it's here for us to sign. Does anyone have any questions before we pass that around? No? No. Okay. I'm probably not going to sign it, but we certainly will have enough signatures on it, so I'll pass it around. Okay, sale of land.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are two policies that have been updated.
The sale of town-owned property and land was, we had talked about it, we determined it was per the RSA, so that, there were no changes to that one. So that one's ready for signature.
Thank you.
The public participation at select board meetings, we had talked last week and we did have some changes, and I just want to talk about those so everybody's comfortable with
I
it.
saw them, and I think that was fine. I think
Okay.
I understood exactly where I was coming from.
Okay, great.
I'm okay with it as is.
Okay, good, good. So just for the public, right, so what we're doing is, for the public comment section, like for public comment session during public meetings, that there were time limits in there, and we're removing those. And so we basically said speakers may address the select board on any town matter. Topics do not need to be listed on the agenda. Sessions are an opportunity to address the select board without expectation of a response. This is during public comment, right? And they're generally a forum for resident opinions. The chair of the select board reserves the right to institute a time limit for comments. And then when it comes to appointments, that was the only other part we changed. We just added appointments allow for discussion with the select board and are not generally subjected to a time limit. So that really was the only changes that we made that we had talked about. So
are folks okay with that?
I thought it was, yes, you captured our concerns perfectly.
Okay, so I'm going to sign it and start passing it around also. So I've started the one for the town-owned land around. All right, so we've approved and signed on those two policies. The next item is in your own blue folders, and Susan has redone the board initiatives. And if we don't have to spend a lot of time on this at this point, unless there are things on here that that you think you want to discuss. I'm assuming some of these are consolidated, Susan, and some of them reflect things that we talked about.
Yes.
Okay.
And you wanted to know if they needed budget money. I tried to capture that as best I could.
Oh, in the last column?
Yeah,
Okay.
short term.
Space for 4 signatures, so I won't be signing.
Well, you can pick a signature, make your own.
I don't know how that.
Oh, okay. So, obviously, the first one is, it's a budgeted item. We're expecting responses on the RFP by the end of this week, and I believe we plan on opening them at our Monday meeting next, on the 12th, for the wage benefits study. The next one is one that we're working on actively. I mean, our liaison, Ellen, is working with various offices here in Town Hall, and this relates to coordinating tasks and hopefully improving workflow in some cases. Also, the possibility of separating the human resources function, which is something we've talked about now for a while. The third item, we haven't had a lot of discussion on that yet regarding possible town administrator, but that's again, I think that once Ellen has had a chance to kind of consolidate some of her thoughts around structure, we might be in a better place to talk about that. So I think we should keep that on the burner, and when Ellen thinks she's ready, we can talk more in depth about that one. I've been trying to reach out to department heads before the department head meetings, encouraging a little bit more information and some things that might be relevant and pertinent to not only us, but to folks listening in. So there's nothing formal about it at this point, although we could do that, but just working on that a little bit. I really would like to have some open sessions with the board, and I don't know how frequently do we do it and what the organization is and the structure is, but it's something that I think I put this one on the list, and it's in the queue. We can talk about it at any point. At some point, I'll probably bring something forth to the board when I've got my thoughts together on it. Ellen, I think that you're working on number 6.
I wanted to ask the board about that. I'd like to have the first one. I have it on. Maybe your thing's not working. I'd like to schedule one this month for the last Wednesday in May, and then people can decide which Wednesday works best for them during the month. Other than that, if that's okay, I was going to bring this up later. I talked about doing it, but I don't want to keep putting it off month to month. That's what I thought.
Just do it, Ellen.
Okay,
Just do it.
perfect.
Try one, let's see if that's not the right Wednesday, we'll do another one. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Number 7, that's another one you were working on, Ellen, regarding, and there was actually some discussion about this at the local officials workshop that took place with NHMA.
Thank you. Thank you.
Or maybe not even put it in the holder. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I saw, I was looking up some things on that and saw that they were gonna have some specific like seminars about this, but frankly, it was cost prohibitive, but I thought since they're gonna have seminars on it, I can call them and just get the information we need. We just need it for certain information, but I just haven't gotten to them yet. But yeah, I will. I think they're gonna have some information for us, so that'll be helpful.
Okay. Number 8, Peter, I think you were going to be sort of maybe working with Adam on this? Or with an outside source?
Yeah, we assigned that to you, sorry.
Oh.
People in here, I think there was 4, at least 4, possibly 5. I have my notes at home, I apologize. People into this, the building, checking out the sound system, trying to work some things out.
Yep.
And that was one of the topics. And I believe, unbeknownst to me, and I don't know if you guys know, they installed the system to make that work now off anybody's laptop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we did know
Yeah,
that.
and so anybody that comes in can actually put the system on their laptop and it will read that unit to run on the screen.
Okay.
So instead of, before we were juggling it around, so that was discovered on the digging into the system. So, but 21 was definitely a topic, Channel 21, and I think what we need to do, and I guess I was looking for some direction, I believe when Comcast came to Kingston, we had a town channel. My question is, where did it go awry that we can no longer broadcast on it? So I don't know if it was like a temporary thing that we could try, so we need to get a hold of Comcast.
Okay.
And find out who to talk to at Comcast. That's a big thing.
If I can just, Adam, we can broadcast, it's just that the sound won't go up, is that?
We can broadcast, the problem is...
Grab a...
I couldn't wait to do that.
I just can't get the live broadcasting to work on Channel 21. That's where the trouble is.
That was the issue.
I'll look into it.
And Adam, do you, well, okay, but do you have any suggestions, Adam, about how we should proceed to investigate that?
I hate to say this because of all the trouble we had with them. It worked.
Okay, thank you, Adam. We'll work on that, right, Peter?
You got all that?
Got it.
Okay, all right, number 9, preparing a calendar of board events, duties, and due dates. That's something that we wanted Susan to do, so, you know, in between all the minutes that you're trying to keep caught up on. However...
I haven't gotten very far, but I'm trying to make notes as things come up.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe this summer, when hopefully we'll have some help with minutes, maybe that'll free Susan up to do some of these things. Okay, number 10, compare budget by December, including employee review. Okay, that's something that we'll need to be working on starting soon. Increasing public awareness. We talked about possibly doing a volunteer fair. I don't think we've done anything on that yet. Reactivate concept of a volunteer memorial, and again, that's something that I started on last year, and I have not picked it up again this year, so we'll hopefully at some point do that and get it back on track. Policy and procedures updates, that's ongoing. And finalizing Phase 2 plans for Town Hall. We did get a presentation on that, and at some point, we're going to need to chat as a board. We probably want Tom and folks who are going to be impacted by this to be sitting around the table working on it.
And I have one more thing that I wanted to add. So I wanted to see if we can't get somebody or a company or a person to help us with the front of the town hall. There's 2 areas on either side for plantings, right? And one side has a couple trees that are dead up against the building and the other side has nothing. So I really think it needs something, and I think we need a professional. I'm willing to run this to ground, see if we can't get a local company to donate time, but at least a plan of what, just a landscaping plan to see what would look good there, and then maybe through donations or something like that to have that done, because we're gonna have these great stairs, a great building, and then dirt on either side.
I think it's a great idea. I got a good suggestion. Down to earth.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
That's the
Yeah.
person that does beautiful work
Sure.
out here on the
Yeah.
commons and takes care of that little triangle across from the library.
Yep.
We have some very good input on that.
Yep. So if with the board's approval, I'd like to just see if I can't get some ideas, and if there's a cost, but I'm gonna try to get everybody to donate.
And I thought that was one of the things on
We've talked about it like tangentially, but after the fact, but it wasn't added, so if we can just add that.
Maybe getting hold of Tom as well, because he could probably cut that all out.
Yep.
Right.
And put some stuff in there, then people could put the plans in there.
Yep.
Well, the areas on either side of the stairs are already cut out, and there used to be plantings there, they're just gone, now it's just dirt. So that place is pretty much
New
ready to
ideas.
go.
Yeah, so I mean, it's literally starting from a blank slate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Everyone else good?
Yep, yep.
All right, so
Got it.
go for it.
Thanks.
Okay. There's a gravel tax levy to sign. It's this one. It is, it's for Toromeo property.
They sent in their report of excavation, and that's the tax levy that the assessor figured out. We have to sign that for Tammy.
Right. So this is kind of like the timber tax permit. It's a taxing thing and a revenue thing. And the amount on this, just so you are aware, is $1,823.18. So unless anyone has any questions, we'll just sign it and move it along. There's a volunteer appreciation letter.
That's lagged behind a little bit because we had a correction, and then it's moved to the fire station. It's been at the highway garage the last few years, but it's work for the highway crew to have it there.
So Graham has agreed to support it being at the fire station, and obviously we need more parking than is available there at the station, but the planes are right there, and one of the crossroads, it's easy to park there and walk over. So this is a letter that we normally would have done during Volunteer Week, Volunteer Appreciation Week, and it's very similar to the ones we've done like last year. And so it says April 20th through 26th was Volunteer Appreciation Week. We are a little late, but once again, we would like to let you know how much we appreciate all of you every day, whether elected or appointed or participating in less formal ways. We want to take this opportunity to thank you. Kingston has always been blessed with many residents who truly care about the town and are willing to give of their time and talents, even when it is not a lot of fun. In these days, we have fun though, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. In these days, when people have so little free time and when the number of people willing and able to volunteer has dwindled, it is even more important to celebrate those who still manage to come forward and serve year after year. We are planning to host a volunteer and employee appreciation picnic to be held in warmer weather on Friday, warmer weather, February.
Not this year.
Friday, June 20, starting at noon, at the Kingston Fire Station. All volunteers and employees are invited to attend, enjoy some food and entertainment. I heard there's ukuleles coming. And take the opportunity to visit in a relaxed setting with fellow volunteers and town personnel. And we ask for RSVPs by June 11 to Susan, and it provides that information with an estimate of how many of your group will attend so that we can plan for food accordingly. We will send out a reminder invitation next month. Thank you for all you do. We look forward to kicking off summer with some of our favorite people. So Susan has drafted this for us. There are signature blocks, and with your permission, I'll pass this around for signing, and it'll get distributed out.
Please do.
Thank you. We've already taken care, sorry.
It's just, I'm gonna have to go back whenever it's appropriate.
Oh, okay. We've already done SB 297 topics, so we're at public comment number 2. There being none, Lori, why don't you go then?
It was up by the rec committee. It was about background checks and volunteer forms. So the local officials workshop that some of us attended a couple weeks ago, it talked about background checks. And all of our employees get background checks, but some of the committee members, some of the committees probably need them as well, namely the rec commission, because they deal with children. They're around kids. So, and there's, Susan had in our packet something from NHMA talking about who should have background checks, and it specifically calls out the rec commission or the rec department because they deal with children. And then there's, they list several committees. The trustees of the trust fund was mentioned at the workshop. So keeping in mind, we do that for all of our employees. We just don't do that for boards, committees, and whatnot. So I am making I would like to see that the rec commission volunteers, that we move forward with doing background checks on them.
Well,
It is, but
I don't think that's, I think that's very important, very important.
you didn't tell me where it's gonna come from, because we don't budget for background checks. And I can't imagine we're gonna go to a volunteer and say, give me $100 or whatever it costs.
well, no, we would not ask them to
Yeah,
do
okay.
that. So the cost would have to be
Absorbed by us?
absolutely. But I don't think that, knowing now that we should be doing it, I don't think that we can't do it. And I don't know what the cost is. I don't know how much background checks cost. But I think, you know, if it's 150 a person, then it's 150 a person. I don't think it's that high, but it's something that we're gonna have to come up with, in my opinion.
How many people are on the rec committee? How many people are on the rec committee?
5 or 6.
Half a dozen, yeah.
Yeah, because the director is an employee, so she's had the check. So it's just, you know, 4 people that were sitting here, and then I think there's 1 or 2 others.
Can we somehow, I'm not trying to be prejudiced about this, but some of the people who are sitting here don't actually work with the kids.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Does
That's like administrative, that's what I'm thinking.
Does the rec committee actually interact with children?
I'm thinking about the employees.
So yeah, because if they're hosting the Easter egg hunt, they're hosting, I mean, you know, 75
I don't know
kids.
what they do.
When
so
they
that's why I'm
have
asking.
events, it's all hands on deck.
It's all for kids. It's all hands on deck to help with the events, and the majority of the events are kid focused. So I think we should, you know, err on the side of caution and do all of them in the event that one of them is helping with trunk or treat. There's just a bunch of kids running around, you know, so I think we have to. And then, you know, we'll have to figure out what budget line. I know that we do background checks, so that, I don't know where that is in our budget I don't either, so we would just have to look at that line. And, you know, we have a meeting next week, so we can, you know, I can talk to the committee then, the commission then.
I
Could
think
you
the
reach out
budget-
to another town and get their idea what they do? Another town, we have an example that we know about? I'm sure we're not the only ones.
Try Hampstead, for example.
Yeah, just, I mean,
Blastow.
maybe just talk to another rec committee.
Yeah.
See what, maybe they have a protocol, I don't know, I'm just,
Right.
I agree with you, we should, definitely should be done. No,
I mean, you just don't want that liability, right? I mean, the NHMA recommends a lot of people get them, but, you know, we should just start small, and we'll do the things that we need to do. So, okay, so,
Do you have enough information then to move forward?
I think we need to know where it's coming from. I agree that it needs to be done.
What the other couple towns do.
Yeah, yes.
Our budget committee chair is actively working to perhaps tell us that. Well, we can,
well, I guess I need clarity on what I need to find out from other towns. If we're gonna do background checks, they either do them or they don't.
All right, and Chuck, what does their rec committee do? Do they have background checks? Do they have it limited to which members of the Recreation Commission gets them or not, or do they do them all?
they might have a company and a cost, that's what I was getting at.
All right,
Right.
Maybe they just, that's all I'm saying, I agree with you.
Can we ask the police how much it is for background?
because it's the same background check.
Yeah, so can we just ask the police to get an idea how much it is and
Yeah,
then
that's,
come back to
that's
the
the
board?
easy one, right?
So it gives us a
Right,
better
so-
idea of what we're looking at and
Right.
how to find it in the budget.
right. I'm going to turn it over to Stacy for a moment, if she has something to add to this.
So, the background checks are done also for the counselors, the summer
Camp
counselors,
counselors.
camp counselors, and they're, I
They're
believe they're
employees.
under.
But they're employees, so
Right.
the commission
That
is not.
line item is under personnel,
Is under what?
personnel
Personnel.
administration.
Okay.
So we do have a line that says, hold on, I just lost it.
And so if we were to add a half a dozen individuals, of course, we don't know what the cost is per, so we don't know what the number is, but
Yeah, so I think that's done separately from what the police do for their background.
Yeah, theirs is
so
probably a
theirs
little
would be
bit
in
more.
their budgets.
Theirs is in theirs.
Probably a
So
different
it's like, you know, most like $50 for a volunteer or something like that, because it's done,
Sporadic.
right.
Yeah.
And then depending on how in-depth you need to get based on there. But you do have a line in your budget, but I don't think it was looked at for all of that.
Well, it wasn't, but I'll make some calls in other communities and see where they're doing theirs for their rec. Yeah, because I think the background check is a little bit different for that than it would be for a police officer. It's probably way more in depth for them, right?
I would like to think so.
I would like to think so, okay.
Thank you, Stacy. So you'll report back to us, Lori, when
I will.
when you've got information on that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. We're into correspondence, applications, and purchase orders, still in the orange folder. We have a notice of intent to excavate. It's map R19, lot 30. This has, according to the note from Susan, this has been reviewed and seen by Planning Board and Conservation Commission.
There was a question, because there's an easement going through from Eversource, so that's what I brought it back and questioned the person. As you can see, they said they have an agreement with the power company, I think that was approved through the planning board. I think it's just that one line.
This line.
Is this the one from last week that Evie had
Yes.
drawn attention to? Okay.
Yeah. And this is from Joshua Manning at Lewis Builders. Responded to Susan with regard to the power lines. It says, yes, we have an active joint use agreement with Eversource for this project, which was part of the approval process with the planning board. So, and again, this is a different one. This is on Smallpox Road. So if folks are okay with this, I will go ahead and sign it and start moving it around the table.
Yep.
Okay. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way.
Don't rub it in, Glenn.
It's coming, Peter, it's coming. It's coming.
So is it Christmas.
Yeah, yep. All right, then we have a letter in the file, which is a follow-up to the meeting we had, an appointment we had at our last, was it our last meeting or meeting before? Well, a recent meeting by Southeast Land Trust and the Magnuson family regarding their intent to put it into conservation easement and so forth. The board agreed that it was a really wonderful thing to do and that we would offer a letter of support. And so Susan has drafted up for us a...
That came from Selby.
Oh, this came from Selby. Okay. I should probably read it then. And it would be signed by both myself and the chair of the Conservation Commission. And so it's addressed to the chair of the Drinking Water and Groundwater Advisory Commission, which is Bill Boyd III at DES in Concord, regarding support for conservation of the Magnuson family farm property in Kingston. Dear Mr. Boyd, on behalf of the Town of Kingston Select Board and Conservation Commission, we are pleased to add our support for the Magnuson family farm application for funding through the New Hampshire DES Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund to protect approximately 101 acres in Kingston through fee acquisition with a conservation easement. This approximately 101 acre property provides a wide array of natural resource benefits that are important to both people and nature. In addition to many other conservation benefits, this property offers significant water quality protection to the Little River, a tributary to the Exeter River, which provides a source of clean drinking water to over 12,000 people in the town of Exeter. Once protected, the property will provide pollutant attenuation and long-term water quality protection for the Little River and the Exeter River without the threat of future development of the land. Conserving these 101 acres serves to maintain quality drinking water that is critical to preserving for residents and other towns that rely on the regional watershed. Our hope is that more conservation in the region will continue to bring protection to the Exeter River watershed and thus benefit our region's river systems and source water areas. Funds from Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund grant program will be key to seeing these lands conserved and ensuring a clean and healthy water supply within this region. It's not often the opportunity arises to conserve such a large piece of land in an area of significant development off Route 125, and we are hopeful this funding will help us secure a future of clean water in the region. Thank you for your consideration of this project, and again, signed by both myself and Evie Nathan, the Chair of Conservation Commission. So if the board is okay with that, I'd be happy to sign it. All good?
Good.
Okay. And Susan, you'll get this to Evie to sign? Okay, thank you. We have a property tax exemption.
Yeah, there's a pile of them here.
Oh, there's a
She
pile
had
of them.
one today, so they're already approved by the assessor.
Okay.
So there's no question on them, they just need signatures.
Okay, so there are 4 of them. They'll be coming around to you, and so feel free to go ahead and sign them when that happens. We've already dealt with the SB 297 letter. Approval of meeting minutes from public and non-public for April 28.
So moved.
Motion by Ellie, second by Lori. Discussion? Yes. Ellen.
Page 3, Jericho Drive, not Jericho Road.
Oh, where?
Page 3, it's, hang on a minute.
No, I understand that, but.
First paragraph, second from the last line, under Highway Department.
First, yes.
The first full one, under Highway Department.
Yep.
Second to last line
Oh.
is Jericho Drive.
Oh, drive, that's the road.
That's it? Okay, thank you. All right. I'll call for the vote on the motion of the minutes as amended. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you. And with that, before we go into non-public, is there any other business, Peter?
I just want to, I don't know if the board has seen some of those books that Tammy got back downstairs. Highly recommend them. She's talked to us before about it, that there's a lot of books and documents that she has to keep for life.
Right.
And a lot of them were in leather-bound folders in the safe.
Yep.
They were all falling apart, deteriorated. I believe she was able to get some grants.
She was.
And sent those books out.
Oh.
And she got some back. Phenomenal what they look like.
They're amazing.
Yeah, so she kept the old leather-bound things kind of on the shelf so you can look at them.
Yeah.
But to look through what that company did with those documents is something worth looking at.
Okay.
She's got a bunch more she's gonna try to do with grants.
Yep.
But I was just happened to stop and look at them the other day. It's pretty amazing what that company did.
I didn't bring it up because I know that Jamie is going to bring them to the board.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, if you're in the area and you stop by,
Okay.
it's pretty amazing.
They are amazing,
Yeah.
and Tammy got grants to do them, and she's applying for more, and she should be really commended that she did it, because
Looks
they're
good.
absolutely stunning.
Nice.
They're great.
Yeah,
Great, thank you.
yep.
For mentioning that. So we'll probably see that at a department head meeting, I assume, or a separate appointment? Okay. All right. With that, I'll ask for a motion to go into non-public session per RSA 91A:3, Roman 2, A and B regarding personnel matter.
So moved.
Motion by Ellie.
Second.
Second by Peter. Second by Peter. Roll call, Ellen?
Yes?
Peter?
Yes.
Ellie? Glenn, yes. Laurie? Okay, so we are in non-public session at 8:10 PM, and for the public who might be watching or listening or here with us tonight, we will bring the public meeting back to order only for the purpose of adjourning it. We have no other public